And action.
All right, let's do this. Oh, looks like I started the stream already, so super. Make sure that it kicks off just fine before we really get into it.
You got any viewers yet?
I don't know. It's not. It hasn't shown up that we're live yet.
Okay.
Oh, now it's showing that we're live. And I'm watching an ad.
Nice. Nice.
Probably can't skip it either, can you?
Nope. Not Twitch ads. They make you watch that shit. At least it's a Twix bar.
Alright, make sure you silence your phone, Moose, in case it...
Yeah, it's silenced. Otherwise, you would have heard the ad. Alright. We are live. What's up, everybody? I'm Moose. Up there is Skill. And over to the right there, we have Wazo.
Hi.
So,
How's it going, guys?
Today, this is, for me at least, this is going to be one of the, better podcasts that we're going to have. I'm really excited for this one. We're talking about Destiny, House of Wolves, and Destiny's MLG esports future. So, pretty excited about that. I think to start, we'll probably go ahead and talk about House of Wolves and what we know so far, and I guess what we hope to see and or would like to see rather. I think for me, for House of Wolves, I know that they said that one of the biggest things that I was kind of, I guess, excited for that's not really that big of a deal is the fact that you can now switch your you can swap out your materials for one another, and with your mats and stuff like that through the speaker.
Yeah, it's just one of the ways to kind of maybe ease the grind a little bit. You've
Right.
grinded so much already that, swapping out some materials makes it a little bit less of a grind if you want to start a new character or something like that. But,
Right.
yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit helpful, especially if you have a surplus of one, which I know everybody has a surplus of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
One
there's-
character that they've played a lot more than the rest of theirs,
Right, some
So-
people have like 200 of one and nothing of another, so that'll be.
Dude, 200, we're talking 2,000. You know what I mean?
Usually quite a bit.
If you got 3 of the same character, or even 2 of the same character, you're just grinding so much of that same essence or whatever, and you'll have tons of it. So yeah, I think I think it might actually encourage the players maybe to try a character they hadn't played yet, which that's always something that the developers are wanting to have in their game, because they want you to experience some of the things that they put so much hard work into. And if they worked hard enough, they expect you to have fun when you do it. So I think it's just another way to maybe convince some people to go ahead and start that new tune, or maybe that different class of tune. Because I'm at the point now where thinking about deleting one of my characters just so I can have a Titan, because I hadn't played the Titan yet.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I think it just makes it a little bit easier, and I personally appreciate it a lot.
And it makes it harder too when you have a higher level character and you want to play them all the times. You have to do the grinds when you have a new tune or an alt, so you can't really level them up because you've got so much time in your main character. So that's good.
Right.
They're letting you do that, so you can build some stuff up and stash it so you can get stuff for your other character, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think as far as deleting a character to start a new one, I don't know if I could do that. I mean, I like my hunters, and my Titan's all right. Like, I'm getting used to him. He's situational, but I think
Well, if there was a time to do it, honestly, now it feels like it's the right time, because without having that raid experience, where I'm just trying to get as much gear as fast as I possibly can, now I'm going to be focusing more on Trials of Osiris to try to work your way up to those higher tiers to get the gear that way. So I'm not going to be switching characters the second I finish the raid to go start it over to get, So now it's not like I need that 3 of the same type characters. So now I could just get rid of one of those and just have maybe, one of each class, I guess, is the goal that the game would like you to experience, just so that you know everything that there is out there. So you know, I think it's good timing without having the raid to keep me wanting to just farm gear over and over and over from my main. Now I can just stay on my main, farm gear. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, or I hope that the new missions that they have are going to have at least a little bit more story in them. I know saying a little bit more story, but I think that I don't really know how to describe it. Just
they're under pressure for some story content and some quality.
Definitely.
That. You know, I'm one of the players that hits A through cutscenes if I have that option.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see that I think they're gonna add a lot of depth, and
hope so.
The question is there quality to that depth, or is it gonna be, you know, get on the internet and read some grimoire cards to figure out what's going on? Which, like, personally, I kind of enjoy that because it gives me something to do when I'm away from the game. I can't be at the sticks and I'm, you know, sitting on the pot looking at my phone. You know, grimoire cards are fun to read about, but it's one of those things where there's such a demand for that story mode, the depth, the lore, that people just felt was lackluster. That I feel like they probably know that they gotta definitely give us something a little bit more in depth, a little bit more juicy, a little bit more backstory, or even, you know, and we all know that the queen is hot, so maybe, who knows? Maybe there's gonna be some relationship there.
They're trying to keep you on the hook and keep you interested, right? And that's what I found with the story.
They only went so far. Pictures of the queen and little clips of the queen will be all right?
Exactly. One of the things, I guess we'll dive right into the good shit, is Prison of Elders. Obviously, I think is it this Wednesday we get the reveal of that with on Twitch. I think it's this Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure, but
I think so.
Yeah, because they're doing like one a week or something like that, and I think they're on Wednesday.
So that if they're going with the same track, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what they're gonna do here. Now, obviously, we'll find out on Wednesday, but my theory is that one mission that we got to do where kill the Archon Prince or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so he was taken by the Fallen from the Prison of Elders. So, are we going to have similar dudes like that we have to fight? Like, I don't foresee there being too many, like, mobs, like, in the light pit for, Crota's Inn, where they're just flooded with, basically trash mobs. But, like, I'm just curious to see how this is going to work. Like, is it just going to be, like, waves of trash mobs and bosses and, like, every so many
you gotta
waves?
think, how does a prison work? It's generally, like, blocks and floors. Like, like D block and C block, you know what I mean? But, I think you could definitely see yourself working through more difficult stages of the prison blocks, taking on bigger ones
bigger areas.
Right.
Yeah.
And then but within bigger areas means more chaos. And then
more
generally, if you think about like a prison, generally like the biggest dude is the king, and you gotta work your way up through all the peons below him to get to him to fight him, and who knows what they got there, because that Archon priest or whatever can be tough on the Nightfall or whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With heartburn on, but
yeah, that's gonna be. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how that's gonna work, especially because they did take out the raid, so this is basically their quote unquote end game content. And they also said that it wasn't going to be the same experience each time you play it. It's going to be different. So that's intriguing to me as to how they're going to make it, I guess, that essence of replayability without being as redundant as a raid. Because, in a raid, you can basically just autopilot it. Once you do it enough, you can just autopilot and You don't really have to think about it too much. And PvP is the only, I guess, real replayability value in most games because it is never the same experience. It might be on the same map, but you're never going to do the exact same thing and get the exact same result. Which it leads me to believe that they've done something not PvP related, but something in there to where either something is randomly generated or something to that effect to make it to where it's not the same. I don't know how they could do that with AI, but that's going to intrigue me as to how they do that.
Well, we've seen that Bungie really likes the get to a position, hold position, while they send waves, hold X to get your ghost out, and then go to fight your way to the next position, hold said position. And when you think about horde mode, as you progress through the levels and whatnot, there's generally variables that make it harder, just besides
sending less trash and less trash and bigger guys, right?
Well, right, but there could be the variable of they start getting faster. They start coming at you with arc shield. Now it's flame shield. Now it's void shield. Or solar shield. And I think they could. There's some different variables. As you get to one spot, maybe it's a lot darker, harder to see. You just see their eyes coming through the mist or whatever. Like Omnigul, there's some sections of that fight where when you're coming out of that room to fight Omnigul, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, right. Under the bridge, though, it's kind of hard to see those people with all the glass
smoke and all the witches and stuff.
All you see is their eyes,
Yeah, that's what's good about the hive. You can see the hive's eyes when they're moving around in dark rooms.
Right,
some of the story missions when you go down in those dark rooms, you can see their eyes when they're moving around.
Right, so there's several variables I think they could throw in there to make it more interesting. Maybe some. And when you think of horde mode, generally think dark. I think night, creepy, fog on the ground, stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see if that's the case. There's a good chance that we can be grinding this, and everybody. The reason I think it's going to be different experience for everybody is think about the variables and the weapons that you might have to be changing on the fly to keep up with the. Now you're getting guys with solar shields, but they're shooting arc weapons at you, or not arc weapons. I just think they could really throw different variables where we're used to seeing Shanks with flame shields, right? But now we're seeing Shanks with void shields, and we're not necessarily
flame and stuff. Or do they have a weakness though? Will they allow that? Have the mobs to have that?
And see, these are all things to be considered. I love the fact that it's the 3v3 mode because it is pretty hard to get your whole raid group together unless you got a serious committed group of people or a very large friends list. Yeah. But I think getting the 3 people together is going to make it a lot easier. And generally, if you're really looking for progression rapidly through things, 3 people is much easier to manage with within getting a task done fast and whatnot. You usually see the smaller groups can move faster, and that if it's truly a horde mode, I'd love to see the level progress that people could get to, or how far through the prison did they get, and that makes it a good Twitch viewing kind of a thing that nobody watches raid night anymore, for Crota or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But people would still watch zombies long after that DLC has come out in Call of Duty. You know what I mean? So it gives you another way to enjoy the game without necessarily.
It's exciting, right? You're doing zombies. It's if one person misses one shot or whatever, then you get one zombie and then it's a panic. You're gonna try to shoot that one zombie and then more flood in. So it keeps you on your toes, which is good. I like a kind of horde mode kind of game because if you miss one, well, you gotta compensate. And if you can potentially, if one person screws up, you can pretty much kill your whole group of friends, which I like the threes, because that's good for strikes, like how you're doing the strikes is fun. It's easy to manage.
Well,
and also
see,
getting a raker too, the time zones too, people having different time zones.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be, I think it'll be something that they see. You remember there was some crazy stat that only like 25% of people have completed a raid all the way through, or something that played on Destiny.
Yeah, it was pretty low.
I think they'll be able to see a much larger community be able to appreciate and get to the end game kind of levels. You know, if there's a pro team that can get to level 100, but you and your buddies could get to like level 25 or something and still have a chance of getting good gear, then I think they're gonna see a lot of people playing this new content that they're dropping.
Yeah, I think just moving on to Trials of Osiris.
Yes.
Since we're talking about the 3v3 and the gear and all that, this game mode, honestly, I've been waiting since I heard about it, and I think that this is probably going to be the tipping point for how Destiny goes in the future. But basically, it's 3v3, and what is it? The rounds are 2 minutes.
They're 2 minutes.
2 minutes, and then after the 2 minutes is up, then there's like a hard point or a domination point. Yeah,
so objective in the middle for overtime.
Yeah, you have to capture, and then whoever captures it or gets to it first.
It's I believe it's whoever like if you can capture it, you win.
Okay.
If the timer runs out. All right. Sorry. The goal of this game is to eliminate the opposing team. There are no respawns. Thus, you have to revive your teammates. If at the end of the round, you haven't wiped out the other team, it then goes into OT, thus giving like a team with a player advantage the opportunity to capture the round. But if it's 3v3 in OT, it'll go to like a hard point stage, whichever team is closest to the stage proximity-wise then gets the win, I believe.
Okay.
And then I believe it's based on that because I saw some of a more console video, I believe, where it's him looking at his teammate in the objective at the end of the round, but they still lost, and that meant just because his teammate was in the objective, it's still based on the entire team's proximity to the objective at the end of the round. That meant the other team had their 2 other teammates closer to it at the end of the round. So I believe that's how that point is scored. I doubt that there's going to be that many scenarios that go that far, unless it's a very like campy match or there's just a ton of like 2-player swing revives or whatnot. If you've played like the 3v3 skirmish and stuff on Destiny, you would know, like you kind of already got that feeling of how the revives go and how to pick your team up and make that swing come back.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of that is there is, at the end of that timer when your teammate doesn't pick you up, that's not there anymore. You just sit there dead, and you can't respawn. So it's going to be very interesting. The guy that kills you, right, you're going to be able to just sit there and stare at him and watch him permanently until your teammates res you, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a very interesting part of the game about communicating to your teammate where the guy is that just killed you. Is it safe to come res and pick me up?
You're going to see a lot of people rolling in packs. Like, no, there's not going to be like the 2 and then a loner. Most everyone's going to go in packs, since if you die, you have to revive. So everyone wants to stay close by at least.
Well, I was running some scenarios through my head, and like I was thinking, what's going to be the best setup, right? And you immediately think PvP hunters are just going to own, and yes, I believe that's the case. I think your best setup would be like 2 hunters and maybe a res warlock, like a fireborn. To be able to res yourself in that game type is going to be very crucial. You know, you could potentially clutch a point all on your own, or you know, it just that one seems to be a more strategic super, where I think so you're gonna be like, I'm assuming you're gonna be round 2 or 3 before you get to your supers, right? And generally, Destiny's timed when you get your supers with when heavy ammo drops. So it's probably going to be third round, which is getting the term the heavy round in the trials. So in the third round, heavy ammo is going to spawn, and I'm assuming unless you did something super great, you know, you're probably going to have your super by now. And if you have your super, that, you know, the hunters are going to be able to clear an entire team if they land all 3 golden gun shots, and if they're wearing the helmet, they have that 4 shot, which means they potentially could even miss one. Which I could definitely see that third round's going to be hunters trading golden guns and
it being a very aggressive playstyle, like everybody charging at each other with the golden guns and just.
Well, see, here's the thing.
That's going to be a crazy round. That's going to be interesting.
You have to get in that middle of it. It's like you're going to be.
I would expect that you should be able to get your supers before them because you get points for reviving. So, you know, if you have a good solid minute and a half of trading, you know, you could potentially end up with a super by the second round if you play it right. And going back to...
I could see that, but then again, it's just think about how long it takes you to get a super in a game of Control or something like that, where you're
killing a lot of kills, so you get tons of kills.
Right, you gotta get so much to get that super that I would assume that most of your super time in Trial of Osiris is going to be while you're standing there, and it's based on how much intellect you have.
Well, see, then it brings up the next question is, do you use your supers in the third round, or do you wait till later in the fourth or potentially fifth round? Because you think if you use it on the heavy round, what if you pop your super? Like, say I'm a hunter, what if I pop it and then all of a sudden some dude pops out with heavy and blasts me? I'm basically done for the game at that point because without a super, I mean, you're just, as a hunter, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, now you're just working off a gun skill.
And that's the variable you have to take too in PvP. Like, you could get your super and then go into a corner and get your face shot off the shotgun. And you're like, oh, well, I just wasted super there.
This is where you're going to see teamwork is probably going to beat out gun skill maybe like 75% of the time. There's just going to, there might be that guy that gets the clutch double kill and then comes in and finishes you off with the grenade. But I would assume that most of the time, good team strategy is really going to be the solution. And it's going to be first team to 5 wins. So it can go up to 9 rounds, which is kind of, I want y'all to remember that, up to 9 rounds.
Yeah,
right?
Basically,
there's a chance of coming back then. Always a chance of coming back.
Right.
Because Lars said that, you could take up to, 20, 25 minutes easy, if you got 2 good teams, going through all 9 rounds.
And then there's OT. So there's OT to each of these rounds. So it's very interesting.
And then,
so it could be very tight and back and forth, and then you get to the point where it's 4-4, and then whoever wins that 5th point.
Well,
well,
just remember 9 rounds. It's a key term for something I gotta say later. So just remember.
One thing I wanted to point on that we didn't mention is, I know you mentioned, you said 2 hunters and a warlock would probably be a good team setup, and as a hunter myself, I could probably agree with that. But I also look at the Titan and the Ward of Dawn, I think could probably be, I wouldn't say as clutch, but more of a clutch defensive move. Because say somebody does pop that golden gun and they pop your buddy, and then all of a sudden you just pop the Ward of Dawn, well, it takes 2 golden guns to take down the bubbles. So he's got just a few seconds to be able to res,
your teammate.
Yeah, say I'm the Titan and you guys are hunters or whatever you are, and one of you gets golden gunned, and I pop the bubble to make sure nobody else dies, get you rezzed back out of the bubble, the backside of it, and something clutch like that. So I think
see that's where the teamwork aspect is really going to outweigh almost any of these other things that you can really kind of do. It's because it's 3v3. no respawns.
Mm-hmm.
The teamwork aspect is going to be the biggest aspect of the game, apparently.
Yeah,
And
I think hunters probably do have the biggest advantage because both of their supers are pretty much OP. Because the warlocks, Nova Bomb. I don't have a warlock, so I mean, skill you have a warlock, but I would assume that it's not very multi-kill friendly.
unless people are standing close to each other, it's not necessarily like you can't move about the map and keep getting kills with it like the golden gun. You're carrying around a super, whereas I'm throwing my super. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so unless they're like,
It's by chance.
unless they're
By
nut to
chance.
butt, that super's pretty much kind of worthless. And the
Right.
same thing with the Fist of Havoc. You know, it's a very, I guess, AoE-ish super, and
There's not going to be
they're-
too much sneaking up on people,
Yeah.
you know, or there shouldn't really be. There's a couple pieces of gear that can make the hunters go invisi, or you know, if you crouch, and
Mhm.
so there's a couple of those things that could play into it. But for the most part, yeah, you know, that Fist of Havoc, you're most of the time wanting to catch people by surprise with it,
Mhm.
and I don't think it's gonna be. You're not gonna get close enough to people to do that, or at least if you're playing a good team where they're communicating well and whatnot. I just don't see you being able to get 2 or 3 people with it like you could with a golden gun, and especially if you're wearing the helmet, the exotic helmet for the hunter with the 4th shot.
Yeah,
then,
symbiote.
yeah, symbiote. And
And they're in that corner and just blast all 3 of them
Well,
with
see,
one
here,
go, and then
what
you
about
can just
this
take them off
scenario?
that, right?
Now,
They're
what
packed
about
up.
what about this scenario? 2 hunters and a warlock. One hunter's golden gun and one is arc blade.
no, that would definitely be the next bet. Like, I would think if you didn't both want to run golden gun, arc blade would be the next one, because you have the camouflage options. You have just the ability to glide across the maps.
Yeah, I think
faster
I know.
than the radar really
I'm
can
I'm
pick
not
up.
really an arc blade because I love my throwing knives. They're a part of everything that I do. So I don't, But if somebody were to run an arc blade with a golden gun, you could almost 2v3 the entire team at that point.
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially, because then you get the golden guns, you just gotta time it just right, get them distracted around the golden gun and pop 2 of them, and you kill them with one shot each, so, and then it leaves the one...
With
the
the
single
data
guy.
mined information, there's supposed to be a new warlock helmet that looks like goat horns. You know, it's pretty awesome looking. But when you go into super, this is all supposed information. It could be changed. This is really old, from when all the armor and weapons leaked out from the House of Wolves a long time ago, and it might, when you res yourself, it blinds enemies within a certain radius, kind of like when you get hit with a blind grenade, or walk into the Titans bubble, you know, when they have that on. And it to me, that could be a total game. You know, you just got supered, right? You just got golden gunned down, and that hunter's running by you to go hit your buddy, and you know what? You just res. He goes blind. He doesn't know where you are to finish off his golden gun, you know, and you slap him in the back a couple times. And it seems like that. If that were the case, that's going to be a game changer, especially if not only do they res themselves after they just got super, but maybe they blind you and take you out along with one of your buddies, and then you got like a 2-player swing because he's going back and picking his friends
Or
up.
getting a pack of them, and having a lucky green to stick one of them, killing the 2, and then shooting the other dude, and then you get 3 of them too.
It's a little bit of a segue, but I just wanted to bring this up because I know me and Moose have been working on it. There's the gear for being res faster, which, like, we all used it for Crota because we got or if you're a warlock, you used it because you got health back for picking up orbs, which made doing Crota a lot easier. But like Light Beyond Nemesis for the warlocks, you can revive teammates faster, you know, and that's gonna be one of those things that are you gonna give up your 4-shot and your golden gun to be able to get res faster and res your friends faster in trials? Are you going to keep that 4th shot and just let your teammates, deal with that? Or, because me personally, I'd rather my hunter keep the 4th shot and let me deal with picking them up when it's safe.
Yeah, I think
I mean?
it should, definitely should be talked amongst the team, which is, why I definitely am glad that there is no matchmaking. Like, you just can't randomly pick up a fire team, which is good. Some other people are bitching about it, but I'll tell you why here in a second. But I think
to me, we have so many good venues now looking for group. You know what I mean? That I'm not that worried about it. If you can't find friends, we have if you have the internet, which if you're on Destiny, you have the internet,
right?
You can find people to play with.
Exactly.
It's maybe 2-3 extra steps, but honestly, it's better.
Game. Yeah, there's always people always around, so you can always just ask them and go, hey.
Yeah, but I think that if whatever your team is, you should get with your team. And like for me personally, I probably would rather have the 4th golden gun shot just because in case I do happen to miss one.
Because you're not very accurate, right?
Yeah, that way,
But no, I think the 4th golden, that's definitely. And think about this: maybe you have a team of 2 hunters or 3 hunters. That's when you can really say, well,
one can have the revive helmet, and then one can have the thing. So if you say you screw up, well, you can revive me. Still, I'll come back instead of dying, and
there's definitely got to be some options there, and this is where having a huge plethora of armor and whatnot to go through.
Because somebody might not even have a symbiote. There's people out there that still don't have some of these exotics. So saying that you have a symbiote and Crest of the Alpha Loopy. Then
and see, we're talking about the gear that we have now applying to this.
Yeah.
But remember, this doesn't actually start till May 22nd, so we're gonna have a couple days to actually grind it out and get some new gear, level up our old gear that we always loved, and really make a good set of PvP gear.
Well, then on top of that, you get. Is there now? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there specific Trials of Osiris gear?
Yes, there's certain rewards, isn't there? And within those rewards, this is where it gets tricky, guys. So we've always been accustomed to you get what you get based on whatever drops come your way, right? You didn't get to pick your rewards from killing Crota. You just got whatever RNG gave you. Well, they've kind of set up trials to be a little bit different. We've all been frustrated with that time where we dropped the 50 bomb in Crucible, and the guy that went like .11 got the exotic, and we just felt robbed of the glory of performing well. Well, they've kind of given us that option here. There is no you get gear for just showing up anymore. Not everybody gets a trophy in Trials of Osiris, right?
You gotta earn that shit.
You've got to work your way up. Now, they give you a few things to help you get there, but it's going to take some time, it's going to take some skill. The best players are going to end up with the best gear, and the other people that can't hack it are just going to go play Prison of Elders. So the reward system is... Each match is a game of 9. Whoever wins that game gets a 1 win, right? The reward system starts at 2 wins. For 2 wins, you're at Stone Tier, which is your basic modes and passage coins, which passage coins is a new currency that's used to buy consumables that you can buy that you can use during the trials, which would forgive your first loss, is one of the consumables. And you can start with 1 win, which is another consumable. And then your first win counts as 2. So in theory, if you had enough coins to buy all 3, you can start with 1 win, you can take a loss that doesn't count, and your first win counts as 2. So you could go all the way to 3 wins with just 1 win if you use both of those consumables and still take a loss on your way there. It's
That's a huge
3
boost.
losses, you're out. So those are gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
The wins, to work your way up the tiers, you have to have those wins. At 2 wins, it's stone tier. That's where you get the motes and the coins. At 3 wins, it's bronze tier, which would be similar rewards, but probably more quantity, I would assume. We have at 5 wins, you get a piece of armor, which is kind of, I don't know if it's going to be random drop armor, but in that set, or you get to select which piece of armor you get. At 6 wins, it's silver, right? So silver, you're thinking, but at 5 I get armor, so what? Why would I not just get armor instead of risking it at silver? That's where I think at silver you could get like the random roll of an armor piece or a weapon, but it's has options on it that you don't get to choose. Like, you know how when you get a random Vanguard weapon, it doesn't have the same setup as the Vanguard weapon that you can purchase from the vendor. So I think that's where the silver and bronze kind of things, it's more randomized than just you selecting your reward.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be...
At 7 wins, you can get a weapon. So if you didn't want to go with that silver gamble of, ooh, am I going to get a piece of armor? Am I going to get a weapon? You can just get one more win and you can pick your weapon or get rewarded with it. At 8 wins...
skip across them all and get that weapon which you're looking for.
Right, exactly. At 8 wins, it's gold tier. Which, you would... Now that's where I assume we're going to randomize the weapon drops. Could be exotic, could be legend, you know what I mean? Maybe different rolls on the same weapons that you could choose from the last round. And at 9 wins, Bungie, in Bungie fashion, has been keeping it wrapped up at what you get at 9 wins. Now, I've been kind of keeping my ears open about what other people are saying could happen. And there's kind of a small consensus of people that think if you get the 9 wins, now remember it's 9 rounds, 9 wins, and to me, I think Agent of 9. So maybe there's something you can get from Xur that maybe you never could get before or something like that. Other people thought maybe it's at 9 wins you can get the start for the exotic bounty for the new exotic weapon.
That seems understandable. You go with there and they give you reward with a nice bounty within a good nice weapon at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we're all loot-driven people in the Destiny world. So
you always want better stuff.
Trying to figure out what happens at 9 wins is going to be something I'm definitely interested in because they've really kept it wrapped up as far as I know at what happens. And
I think it's probably going to be there's a set loot table for the 9 wins. It's 1 to 3 exotic bounties, and then it could be 1 to 3 exotic weapons that aren't the bounties, or it could be some other weapons like Jewel of Osiris. I don't think that's an exotic. I think it's a legendary, but things like that, or even gear specific things. I think it's going to be something like that, either a really, really excellent legendary or some sort of exotic, is what I'm thinking.
Well, I think it could go in a whole bunch of different directions, because we know now there's going to be a legendary ship, I believe.
There's going to be an exotic ship.
Exotic ship, I'm sorry, exotic ship.
Wow. That could even be a part of it, so yeah.
And when you think exotic ships, what my next jump in my mind is exotic speeders. So
yeah, and they said that what they've showed and told us is only 30%. So there's literally a shit ton that we literally just don't know what there is. I would assume if there is an exotic ship, there's going to be an exotic sparrow. I'm hoping to see exotic shaders and things like that. Actually, there is exotic shaders. There's going to be an Osiris shader that I believe is exotic, as well as the little player card. It's an exotic player card. The Osiris.
I don't know if it's necessarily exotic or if that's just
No, it's
The
supposed
bright
to.
sun color.
I think it's supposed to be in exotic fashion or whatever. I believe.
Okay.
But then, yeah, this brings, with Trials of Osiris being as competitive as it is, it brings us to the next stage in Bungie, and one thing that they've done, I've reiterated in a few videos here recently, is that they've tossed around the word competitive a lot, and there's been no real competitiveness in Destiny. It's just pubs. Anybody who truly plays competitive gaming knows that it's just basically pub stomping, and that's all you can do. There's no ranks, there's no league, there's no real reward for what you've done other than random gear that you could get somewhere else as well. So I think with the way Trials of Osiris is, the way that it was presented on Twitch, I think if they had Golden Boy or Puckett or somebody like that, Walshy, casting that, then it would have been the stage for a Destiny MLG or esports, however you want to look at it. Because I watched it and it was basically everything that a competitive game should be. It was it was packed full of action. I'm pretty sure that it was probably as far as that game goes, kind of one-sided because they obviously wanted to show off the tiering, so the other team probably purposely lost. But the fact is that it was still set up to where it has a future in esports. I think a few things that run through my mind is gear and weapons as far as what's allowed and what's going to not be allowed, and then the maps, and I think that's about it. Gear, weapons, and maps as far as what's allowed and banned. And first of all, I think, or I hope that Mythoclast will be banned for sure. But actually, before I get into that, one of the rumors that's been going around, and the reason that we're even talking about this today, the whole reason we're talking about this today is the rumors suggest, I'm not going to say, I'll say suggest, that private lobbies might be coming with House of Wolves. I know it's one of the top 2 things just under transmogrification that have been requested by the community, and I've been a huge advocate for private lobbies. So I was thinking it'd probably come with comments, but if it comes with House of Wolves, I'm definitely not going to complain. I'll probably have like a nerdgasm.
Right.
But
we're just good.
Yeah, exactly, because
right?
they need it. There's some things that obviously are going to become some concerns, like what we're getting ready to talk about. Let's talk about bannable weapons to start.
Yeah, well,
I think to start, the Mythoclast needs to be, because anything that is the only way you can get it is through a raid needs to be banned, because it's not fair to the other players who might not have that raid experience. Even if you are trying to play in an MLG level, you probably have it, but I think they should just be banned regardless.
I guess certain players don't get to do those raids, or certain players don't have those people to do raids with, so they don't get those weapons. Or join the game later on. And
well, with the good private lobbies, with a good private lobby set up, most of the time you have the options to ban certain things. Which in Destiny's case, I think you'd be able to ban certain weapons, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
like
from the start of the match, like
You just don't like those things.
Yeah, but there's no real validity into doing banning shotguns. But at least the Mythoclast and all other raid weapons to start. I think that's fair enough as far as the weapon front goes. I think for gear is going to be tricky because there isn't too much diversity in gear, but at the same time there is. Yeah, so it's like I don't really think that gear would matter too much.
The classic part is they set like a certain PvP stat and a certain PvE stat. That's the only way you would be able to tell apart. So everybody has a mishmash of gears. So
yeah,
I'm hoping they could do that because that's what being a PvP kind of DLC is.
Yeah, I think.
Now this is there's a fine line you gotta start walking when you start banning things, because you ban this and then this becomes OP, and then you ban this and then this becomes OP.
Everybody finds a new way to get ahead, right?
Right, and so if we get rid of raid stuff, right, then we're bringing everybody's light levels down in theory, right?
Well, we're
Unless
just talking
you have
weapons.
Iron Banner stuff.
Well,
and then do you allow Iron Banner stuff because some dudes grinded but other guys didn't?
Don't they occasionally do it, or they?
Do you allow Thorn, Invective?
Well, I
personally hate Thorn. I hate that thing.
Thorn's OP in Iron PvP, Banner. I'll just say
it's
that.
OP.
It's great. Like, so
you get rid of it because some players could get a team to help them get through the last part of, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
So there's got to be this thing. To me, I'm one of the people that's like, man, if it's in the game, let's exploit it. Let's just use the FAMAS it up, and from if you play Call of Duty, that when in that scene, there would be full teams running all FAMASs in the competitive Call of Duty scene back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, if a whole team wants to run Thorns and Last Words and whatever, I'm more into that than let's ban this, let's ban that, let's get, because we could see supers going out the door very easily.
That was another thing, is people were suggesting on Reddit and stuff that, they wanted supers gone. I personally I do disagree with that, because I think supers are, the game changer. Like, you need those in competitive play for that flash, that, what if you're on a 2v1, you bust your golden gun and bam bam, all of a sudden the game's changed.
Yeah, you're ahead there,
right? But does that mean it took more skill to, to me it's one of those things where the people that complain about it aren't necessarily playing with their team. Maybe they're in hero mode and they're going on a 5-kill streak, and then that Titan Fist of Havoc's them, even though he shot him 50 times in the head on the way there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've all had those moments where, because they supered, they got to survive at something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on a competitive level, it's not going to be nearly that. First off, you're looking at maybe teams of 4v4 most of the time. On competitive, on game battles and stuff, it's usually 4v4. We could probably swing 6v6 easily enough.
Yeah.
But so you're thinking 4v4, less crowded map, more strategy coming into play. If I pop my super now, I have 3 teammates with supers. All right, Jimmy just popped his super. Now we have 2 supers. How many supers have the opposing team popped? Now it's becoming that supers are going to be way more important than in your average Crucible Iron Banner match.
Yeah, because then it comes down to chaining your supers, feeding each other.
Feeding orbs.
Yeah, the orb feeding is going to be way more important. And then you're starting to look at it as it's a giant game of chess, which that's what makes competitive games fun to watch. It's because who's thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead more than the other team? Like if I pop my golden gun, I've got to think, how many supers do they have? What's the likelihood that I'm going to come around the corner to meet another golden gun? How many supers do we have? Does anybody need orbs? Things like that. All those things are going to go into it, as far as, when to pop your super, how to pop your super, and who's around you, so you can feed each other orbs and just constantly recycle supers.
No, see, that's to me, that's what I think Bungie had in mind with the supers in competitive. I don't think they meant for it to be this easy thing that you can do to save your own skin. And, if I'm sure everybody's experienced this a couple times where you popped your super and they killed you before you could get get it
like
off, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You're pulling out your golden gun, and oh, he took one in the head. You know what I mean.
Yep.
So. Those moments where you get robbed of your super and stuff like that are going to become even more crucial in that competitive aspect.
using
So,
that communication between the others too, like being like, "Hey, I'm gonna use my super here. Can you come like in my area or back me up so I don't get blasted and waste my super, right?"
Yep.
And then
so,
they also be doing the same too. They're like, "Oh, hey, like I can see something coming on the radar. Well, I'm gonna pop my super and wait for them to come around the corner and blast them, right?" So
it's a double-edged sword, right? Because I think of it that way. But think about it if you're on the other end of that, where you're playing a team that's managing their supers, and you feel like you're just getting supered every time you turn around because they're farming orbs and they're chasing, So it could be just a series of blowouts based on who lands their first golden gun and cancels, the other. It's gonna be really interesting to see how it plays out. I would be interested, I would still, if competitive Destiny where Super's out and all this stuff's banned and stuff, I'd still play it.
Well,
right?
let's step back here real quick. Okay, let's assume that nothing's banned right now. Let's assume that Destiny MLG just came out, and it's basically just like it is with every game, testing the waters to see where the rules need to be. Now, let's say what game modes. Let's start with game modes before we get into maps. What game modes do you guys think should be I guess as far as a competitive rotation? My thoughts would be Control, obviously, because it's the same as every other game.
Conquest and from games like Battlefield.
Yeah, and then I think Skirmish and Salvage, and I know those two are kind of close. But Skirmish is just basically gun skill. It's about gun skill. That's the sole purpose of the game. And Salvage is, well, like Control, it's gun skill, but you've also got the objectives.
That's where you lost me. I'm sorry.
That's also good weapons,
they
too.
They just dropped Trials of Osiris, right? It is the perfect PvP platform.
It is, but it's not a staple game. It's not like a staple rotation. Like you could.
Yes. But I'm saying
having
that intense. If I die and my teammates die, what's done? Kind of S.
But that's more. But I think Trials is more of like Iron Banner. It's an event, not really a game mode, because the game mode you're playing is a skirmish variant. The difference is that you
skirmish variant.
You don't.
But I'm saying I think that would be.
Well, then
better
you could take skirmish and then just dub it the variant where there's no revive, and then you would basically have Trials of Osiris, which is fine. That would be a great game mode. But I think there still needs to be a third one, whether it's Salvage or something else. It should probably be an objective-based game. There is no capture the flag, but I mean the only other type would just be TDM, and in the Ascents you get that with Skirmish, just it's a little bit smaller. So I think Salvage is honestly to me the only other one, because it's objective based and it's still kind of similar. It can be played 3v3 up to 6v6. Because if now granted I haven't played Salvage that often, but if I remember playing it, it was 3v3, and we would have to go find the relics. The relics would spawn just like Hardpoint in Call of Duty. So we would all have to get there, fight for it, maintain it, and I think
hold your ground.
Exactly, and I think that's that could turn out to be a really good game.
See, we found an interesting method for that game type where we would let the enemy take the place and immediately wipe them out, take it away, not let them get any revives, but if they ever killed us, we would get the revives, and we found that we could win games with almost never capturing the relic, but just taking it down so fast that they don't get the points, you know what I mean, that they would normally if they kept it all the time. So it is an interesting game type, but I really think that the way that they're designing Trials is going to be for some very intense PvP. I would dare to say competitive.
It's gonna be competitive, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's always gonna
I'm
try to
sure
play to
you're gonna
win.
be watching your boys on Twitch and stuff play it because it's gonna be a lot
Yeah,
more
no,
fun to watch than your average pub stomp. You know what I
exactly.
mean? So,
Exactly. And then I guess the next would be what maps should be considered competitive. I,
well, I
Well, they
think
make them
we
smaller.
figured that out a lot faster because we all have that kind of set. We all have our favorite maps, but we all have maps that we know that don't work very well, and
Once you don't do
even
good,
Bungie
right?
scrapped maps
yeah,
very rapidly from certain playlists because they just didn't work that well or were
yeah,
too one-sided. Which I don't know. Like Iron Banner was this week, so I've been playing a lot of PvP, and like there's certain maps that we get, and if we get on one side or the other,
We do very well.
there's a breakout for that map based on which side we get on, and we don't like this flag. Don't even cap it. Let's just go flip spawns right off the
yeah.
start
But
because this side of
we've
the map
also
is
we've
so
also
much
done
better.
that in other
So
games as well. Like Call of Duty, we would do that. You know, if we got the shitty spawn, we would break to spawn flip. We wouldn't break to go to the objective. We would literally just break to flip spawns. And I think that's the same thing. It's just another strategy inside the game. Like, okay, the other team maybe they're not as again they're not thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead. When we are, say we're on what's a good map?
well, not
Firebase
only
Delphi. Let's go with that one. Firebase Delphi. If you spawn C, you immediately you break A, so you can get the
Yeah.
spawn flip because A is the better spawn. And
yeah,
so
we like
if
to
you're talking about a
rotate
team,
left around and
yeah,
come back up from the bottom because at that point, generally the enemy team is capped A and work their way into B.
yeah,
They're looking forward, not wanting to. Generally, they don't turn around, and
exactly.
Yeah.
if they do, it's one guy. Hopefully, you can take him out. You neutralize A, flip the spawn, and then A to B is a much easier
Yeah,
transition
it
than
is.
trying to jump through a window or come up a ramp
Yeah,
or
because literally once we take A on that map, and then if you don't even need a heavy, you just go around that backside and sit,
Yeah.
and watch that window and watch these dudes just come in like sheep jumping a fence, and you
Yeah,
just
that's
mow them
another way to
down.
win, right?
So I
And
think that's a good
Playing from A for
example
that one in
of
the hallway too. Like playing from A, going from that hallway, going in there, it's a lot easier going from that window or going up the ramp and going in. That's what I
yeah,
like to.
yeah.
You
so
just throw a nade in, and then if you're on the spawn, you throw a nade in, and then go up top and look down if you even killed them, or go around.
Yep. But
so I
back,
think Bungie's done a pretty good job already with picking the maps that are pretty competitive. Um, there's certain maps that we hardly ever see unless you play like a vehicles only game type.
yeah.
You
Well,
know
I
what I
think
mean?
those are designed larger. I think the larger maps obviously shouldn't be in there.
Right, so we can eliminate most of
Yeah,
those
I'm
maps
thinking.
and
I'm thinking like Trials of us or not Trials of Size, Shores of Time, uh,
well,
Bastion.
now you're saying this, but remember, if you're on PlayStation 4, you're getting 4 new PvP maps. If you're on Xbox, you're getting
Well, I'm just
3.
talking. I'm just talking for just competitive. Like obviously the exclusive maps aren't going to be allowed because, or at least
Right.
Not for X, but they might be allowed
But
on
you
the
gotta remember
PlayStation
that
side, but not.
these next map layouts and designs, I would assume, are going to be for more competitive style of
Yeah,
play.
Are they going to be smaller? There's going to be more choke points and stuff. Like you going to get that one key guy into that one area, and he's going to lock down that one part of the map, right? I think that's what I'm
probably. Well, they're
looking
not
for.
Call of Duty. Like I talked to a few guys from from Bungie via Twitter, about the maps, and I think it was Lars that I talked to, and and I asked a while ago, I was like, are these your basic 3 lanes? I was like, or is there going to be more options, like more flank routes? And he literally told me that all the maps there's a flank for the flank for the flank, which to me is really good because in your basic standard Call of Duty, you have 3 lanes just like you would in Smite. You have 3 lanes, left, middle, right. And that's it. There's no variation. So if you can get to those lanes, and then as long as your gun skill is better than the other person's, you're basically owning the game, and there's nothing that they can do. With Destiny, it's a little bit different because you have multiple avenues in which you can approach something. So I think, obviously gun skills, obviously still going to matter. But I just think, the variation where you just can't sit in camp somewhere the entire time, it's going to bring, in any map you play, really, it's going to bring, some aspect of suspense and entertainment. Like, it doesn't matter what map you're playing because they're all like that.
Right. No, I could definitely see that, and you got to remember this, with all the double jump, shoulder lunges, and blinks and things. There's going to be a lot of variables there. One thing I was going to ask you guys is, as we're closing up here, like, what is the thing that you're most excited about? If there was one thing that you had to pick out from everything that you've heard of about the new content that we're getting, what would you say is the best? Or the thing that you're most excited about?
Trials of Osiris, of course. It looks very interesting and looks very competitive. So
you're mostly excited about the new PvP aspect of the new content. See, that's crazy, because think about, like, everything up till this point. You've been excited about the PvE experience.
Well,
now they've given you something
dull,
new.
Right? It gets dull.
Right, no, it's very...
the variable's so much larger, so the game's never going to be the same.
Well, that means Bungie's probably accomplished one of their goals that they set out to do with this thing. Alright, Moose, what do you think? Or what's your...
It's obviously going to be Trials of Osiris because, of that esports factor, that competitive, that true competitive. Bungie obviously tosses around competitive, competitive multiplayer. This is the true staple of competitive multiplayer.
Do good, get good rewards.
Exactly.
Do bad, get coins to help you look like you are good.
Yeah, exactly. Get the coins to bolster your stuff, and then so you can do better, right?
Yeah. And, see, the thing is I meant to touch on this earlier, but I forgot, is matchmaking. And we kind of touched on it, but there's a lot of people complaining that there wasn't matchmaking for Trials of Osiris. My thought is that, are you fucking stupid? Like, why would you want to team up with a bunch of fucking randos?
People you don't know, right?
Yeah, you're teaming up with these randos to do a game mode. Well, what if you're at, you get your team up to 7 wins, and then the dude just wants to troll you and then dips out? It's like, oh, you know what, fuck you guys.
That's where you're getting... There's the community that plays Destiny is a combined community of people that have been in that clan kind of world, or they know how to work with other people. But then there's like the people that just want to get into the game, right? And don't want... So if you don't necessarily want to, or have never been in that clan experience, or you don't have a mic or whatever, you probably aren't going to be in Trials of Osiris, you know what I mean? If you don't have a friends list, and it's not social, and maybe it's their personality or something why they don't have people to play with.
Yeah.
But it's more or less one of these things where they're being mad at having to not do a little bit of work in adding people to their friends list that have similar interests and common likes, and not having the microphone to maybe talk and communicate. And the same, I'm assuming that the same people that are mad about it not having matchmaking are probably the same people that don't communicate, don't put their mic on when they're playing PvP. I don't know about y'all, but we were in game chat the other day in Destiny for recording purposes, and like we were literally talking to ourselves for 4.5 hours, and we didn't hear a single other person get into the game chat and talk to us the entire time we were playing Destiny.
Yeah, well, it's like even if like their mic and the little mic icon at the bottom, it'll say that they're in game chat, but they never talk.
Exactly.
Like, most people are shy too, so they don't know how they're gonna react.
If you play Call of Duty, there is no shy. I mean, these people will talk about raping your dog or whatever.
I would say 99% of the time I'm in a party because I'm talking to my buddies playing different games other than Destiny right now. Mm-hmm. But that other 1%. There's nobody talking in the,
That's the thing too.
So
Everybody
those are
plays
the
on
people
Xbox
that are
Live.
upset about the matchmaking. Is they don't, no matchmaking.
Yeah, I just see nothing but
It's
negativity.
valid to a small point.
Yeah, I don't even think that it's even really valid at all, honestly, because I don't want to put my hard-earned tokens and
Oh, your
my
100 glimmer token. Oh yeah.
whatever. Well,
Or
I
well,
mean,
no. If you bought the consumable and you get your third loss, you gotta go.
yeah, like
You
you got to
start
earn
over.
those
Get the
tokens,
token again.
So it's like I don't want to put everything that I've worked for. Obviously, if I'm doing this, it's because I want the better gear. It's because I want these great rewards, and I'm not gonna leave it up to some fucking random kid who's gonna wait till we get 8 wins and troll me on the ninth one because he wants to be an
Yeah.
asshole and dip out of the game. You know?
Yes, but then again, you gotta think. It's just you spent money for this content, and if you can't access the content on your own, you're forced to play with other people or make friends, or you know I don't foresee maybe some of like the 50-year-old guys that play Destiny that do this stuff after work for fun are gonna be able to find the friends and have the teamwork and the gear and stuff to get to win 9 ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's not for everybody. Let me put it to you this way: if you
Yeah.
don't enjoy PvP, you're not even gonna want to be in there. Which I know plenty of people that play Destiny solely for that PvE experience. So,
Oh wait, no
put your
PvP. I thought you said PvP. Never mind.
no
Yeah,
PvE
no, fuck
PvE.
PvE.
Which like it's one of those things where because we got Trials of Osiris. Hey, you don't like it? Go play Prison of Elders because it's this new content where you can get
And it's like
still
gear
best
too,
gear in the
right?
game,
Like
and
if you're
you know,
PvE gear and you go PvP, and you're gonna get your shit pushed in. Like yeah, like even though they
well,
got PvP gear, right? Like you're used to using that PvE gear, so there's not like
Yeah.
it's not that great. So people are like kind of more shy. Like they'll just stick playing PvE because they have good PvE gear. They don't want to grind out that PvP or like Iron Banner gear.
Yeah,
People
because
sit there and
well, yeah,
grind
and that's
Iron
the thing
Banner
is in
gear to
trials, gear matters just like in Iron
yeah.
Banners. So it's
So
not
it's
just going to
just
be the dumbed down cookie cutter version like pub stomping is.
it's gonna
right. I
make
think you
people
have to
get
have a
under.
minimum level requirement
Something
to
like
get
that.
in.
I'm not sure what it is, but
Which
yeah,
is gonna
Now,
make people go get gear then, right? It's gonna give them something. Well,
just to throw out a couple things that I forgot to say that I meant to, because I know we're running over time, but Trials. It's going to be one map per week, and they're going to rotate maps. And the reason for that is so that you're gonna the evolution of the game is going to change through the weekend as people. Oh man, this perch works really well when we spawn on this side of the map, and this is a great vantage point. And people figure those spots out, and now we got to find new ones. And
yeah.
you know what I mean.
yeah,
So I think it's cool sticking with the one map per weekend thing, especially because if it's a map you hate, you don't have to play that weekend. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
but I don't know. I plan on for a while playing every weekend, working my way up
yep,
through, and because it's only that weekend experience, I know we've all probably had that WoW lockout. You're locked out till next week.
Yeah.
It kind of limits how much gear you can acquire. You
hmm
know,
Well, from
and
what I understand, is you can play it as many times as you have tokens saved up. So say like you don't play for 3 weeks, but you have like X amount of tokens. If you go out, 3 and out, you can hop back in it and do it again.
oh
Now
no,
I'm
right, you
not
can
sure.
play as much as you want, but it only activates on the weekend. It's not like I can play Monday through Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, so it's gonna be that little build up through the week to get there to get that piece of gear, or to
hmm
try to see how far we can get, or that's the beauty in that reward system is even if you're the worst of the worst of the worst, you can grind 3 weeks and get a silver tier, which still. And when I say that I mean you get the coins for just getting 2 wins or whatever from your bronze package. and then you buy the consumables to give you a win and to forgive a loss and to give you 2 wins, and then on that 4th week, even with 1 or 2 wins, you could get the tier 4 win package, which you could still get
Something
randomly good. The best, whatever you wanted that you could get from the 9th, or you know what I'm saying. So it's gonna be like that, or I'm assuming we'll find out here pretty soon.
Exactly.
But is there anything else you guys wanted to throw in before we wrap up tonight?
Also,
I think we got everything. I think.
Cool. All right.
We based on a lot of it.
Yeah, I think we went over by about 15 minutes, which is fine. But
tell that to my bladder.
But yeah, I think on that note, we'll probably end it up. Hopefully next week, maybe we'll have a little surprise, and we'll be streaming this on MLG. So
that'll be cool.
So yeah, I'll keep everyone updated on that. And next week, I think probably talk about some more Black Ops 3 and maybe some more House of Wolves, since we'll have some new information. Possibly go over Prison of Elders, in depth or something like that. But yeah, thanks for coming out, and we will see you guys next week, same time, probably a different channel, but I'll let you know. So catch you guys later.
Peace.
All right.
Oh shit! I didn't end the call.